Good morning, dear friends. May the light of Jesus be with all of us today. Our talk today is spiritual health, and I feel that all of us can benefit to learn a little bit. Am I right? Because if we need to improve a little bit our physical health, emotional health, that definitely is viewpoints that's going to improve our spiritual health. Okay? And there are so many viewpoints. We are going to start addressing that God made us very simple and without knowledge. But He gave us a divine essence, a little seed, and He put in our heart. And many of us doesn't know that. Many of us knows that, but forget about that. So our talk today is going to be a reminder that spiritual health means searching for us to connect with our divine essence, assess the divine being inside of us. And when we learn to assess that, it's full of love, it's perfect, full of virtues. We just need to assess and learn to develop, because they are little seeds. And that's the gift that God gave to all of us. So we are going to start saying, we are child of God. We need to remember that. So in our talk, we are going to see the importance for us develop our spirituality. And when we say spirituality, is developing the path that's going to bring us to access this divine seed that is inside of us. Because that is where lies the abundant source of our growth. Because it's perfect, because it's given by God. And when we distance from that knowledge, when we distance ourselves from that path, that's where we get in trouble. How many of us feel in trouble in our daily life, huh? I put both hands up, because God knows I get in trouble very often, because sometimes we just forget that. And then we start getting confused with our egos, our identities, our, distorted thoughts, and sometimes put us in conflict. And more we distance ourselves from that path, the search of our spirituality, more in trouble we get. So when you get in trouble, just remember that if you take anything from this lesson, if you're experiencing trouble, that just means a little information that you deviate from the path that we are supposed to take. That's very important, so put us back on track, right? And how that happen? Sometimes people go through life, they forget they are spiritual beings. They forget they are immortal beings. They forget they are here to learn and grow. They forget they are here with the purpose to make that seed grow into a beautiful spiritual being. They are just preoccupied with the materialist attachments. They are just preoccupied in make money. They are just preoccupied and get the pleasure here now. They live as if there is no tomorrow. Many people live through life not understanding that every action that we take is going to have a consequence that we're going to encounter. So many actions in their life is just here now, what can I get from me here now? And there are millions of people living like that today. Do you know some? Are we one of them? They are truly materialist people. And they are very sick, spiritually speaking. There are some people, and I can include me many times, we do know that we are divine beings because we are child of God. We do know that we are immortal beings. However, we get more preoccupied in our little things in life. We forget. And then we start thinking when we are in trouble, oh my God, I need to go back to church. I need to go to the center. I need to have a healing hands. I need to pray. And they do pray. And in that morning, they only search for God to resolve their problem right there. I want God to give my answers right now. And get upset when you don't hear the answer. Who can identify that? We all go there. So we kind of are spiritualists, but we're still very much materialist, because we still see God out there to be at our service. When we need help, we go there. You gotta help me now, right? And we're still not really owning our divine essence. We still want to put our problems in the hands of God. That means literally not doing our part. And there are many million people living like that. And the talk today is an invitation to understand we don't know, we shouldn't search for God just when we're in trouble, in our crisis. That is just the consequence of our choices. We have just encountered the consequence of our actions. A wonderful way to get a spiritual health is to learn to bring God within and live remembering we are child of God, and learn to assess this immense and abundant flow of love that He provided for us through that divine connection. So the more we learn to assess that connection with God, healthier we are going to be spiritually speaking. And many times when we forget about that, we know we forget, or we're in denial. So many reasons that it gets distracting that pattern, right? And we go through life, no matter how long you go, eventually you're going to feel a little stuck. Eventually you're going to feel an emptiness. Eventually you're going to encounter problems that's going to make you think, wait a minute, there's something wrong here, right? So this disconnection eventually is going to happen in a way of emptiness in our heart, because it's a natural path of progress. One day, without our connection with God, we are going to get stuck somewhere, because we are meant to grow this divine essence. We are created by God with the goal to assess this divine essence and make it flourish, and assess the virtues, the love, the abundant life that we intend to live until we get to our plenitude, our total happiness eventually. Not yet in this lifetime, I guess, because there are many levels for us to be close as a pure spirit in total happiness. But this is the way to start, to become in a way that when we distance ourselves from God, we don't get much further in life. We get stuck. And that's what is the way we create confusion in our life, we create disharmony, we create imbalance, because we are not assessing the abundant flow. Alito, in his book, Spiritual Health, he does make a wonderful analogy. It's like when we are distant from God, when we don't have God within, it's like we go taking a shower and we have a big umbrella. You know? The water is abundant, it's flowing everywhere, but you don't get clean. You don't get it. You don't feel wet, you don't feel renewed. So if you, any moment right now in your life, you're feeling not connected, you don't feel protected by God, you feel separate, you feel unhappy, you feel unbalanced, just remember your umbrella is on. Make it that metaphor. Okay, let me close our umbrella and see how can I connect and renew my soul. So that is our goal today. Help everyone get more tools to create a balanced, harmonic, peaceful, spiritual health. Because that's what we deserve. We're children of God. And that's our goal, to present some viewpoints, some tools that you can make that road a little more stable for us. Wouldn't it be wonderful when you go through a hurricane in our life, you're more stable, we feel the wind, but we don't get crushed on the floor? How many times we've been vanished on the floor and you don't know how to recuperate it? It's wonderful not to be alone, isn't it? Thank you for you being courage enough to share, you know? And that's what it's about. When we have our connection with God, to understand whatever is thrown at us, in some level, there are lessons for us to learn it, to balance better. And more we connect with God, the stronger the balance it is in our life. So if at any moment you feel like you're falling down, just remember, I needed to empower my rope here and see what I can do to learn to create more balance in my life. So to achieve spiritual health, it's necessary to have this balance and harmony. To do this, we must take responsibility for our thoughts, feelings, and actions. It's vital that we learn to be self-motivated to live a more loving life. This balance that promotes spiritual health can be achieved by applying Jesus' teaching in our life. So, that's the way for our spiritual health, applying Jesus' teaching in our life, because Jesus said, I'm the way, I'm in the path. He's going to take us close to our connection with God. And he keeps saying for many, many years, we need to learn to pray and be vigilant and love one another. Two simple lessons, but extremely difficult for us to remember to apply this in our life. But that makes a tremendous difference in us feeling more balanced and healthier when we learn to apply that in our life. So we are going to develop how can we truly take this lesson to our life. The first step that we need to look is self-control, to be able to control our thoughts. Everything started here. This is a very famous quote that we heard, right? What your thoughts become your words become your actions become habits, habits become your character, and character becomes your destiny. So everything starts right here, in our mental energy. And we needed to understand it. This is a very powerful tool that we have as a spirit to grow. And also it's a very powerful tool that can really devastate us if we are not in control of. So we need really to understand the power of our thoughts. When we put our attention on negative thoughts, we are going to experience some kind of feelings, some kinds of experience. When we put our attention in positive thoughts, we can absolutely transform a situation that is happening in our life. And when we understand the force of our thoughts, when we understand that when we put attention and feed our thoughts with intentions, motivations, they create a form, they create a weight. How many times you have a thought that when you think it make you feel like 1,000 pounds on your back? Who experienced that? It's so negative and so dense because we've been feeding a lot and become really, really heavy. And many times when we have a thought, we project out there. And you're going to link that thought with minds that generate the same vibration. And that comes all back to us because everything goes around, comes around, right? That's the way many difficulties in our life happen. Like if I harbor a thought, I'm not worthy. I'm not good enough. And you put out there, and there are so many, even incarnate or disincarnate. Oh, you're right, I'm not good enough. Nobody's good enough in here. And that comes back completely potentialized by the energy around my link in the same thing. And it's fascinating to observe that it has the same principle because all the laws is the same. All the natural laws, they are neutral. We put charge on every law. The same thing, I and Mana thought that the world is a wonderful place to be. Guess what? We'll find the same vibration out there and come potentialize wonderful things for us. So it's very important to understand the power of our thoughts. And becoming aware who's controlling our thoughts. Many people have no idea who is driving their car, right? If we are not in control in our thoughts, that can be contaminated by many different sources. And when we do that, our mental home is completely open. That's where a lot of intruders can come in. And we are not even aware. And when I say intruders, those negative thoughts, that passing by, if you're not controlling them, they come and they stay, and it's very difficult to keep our mental home clean. You know? How many times we have the feeling that nothing's going right. We keep having that fog. So that's the moment that you realize we need to do a spiritual cleanup. That's the moment we realize, wait a minute, let's see what I really want to harbor in my thoughts. Who's controlling that? How that is coming? Because every time we harbor a negative thoughts, guess what? If we're nurturing that, it's going to have negative feelings. And we start projecting that, and we start creating our reality. And this mechanism, we need to understand it to protect ourselves. Wouldn't it be wonderful when a negative thought comes to our mind, we can say, wait a minute, you are not welcome. Stay right there. You are not welcome in my home. Wouldn't it be wonderful? It's not what we do when like a transient or homeless or any kind of stranger look person come to our home. Do you have your door open? Allow that person sit in your sofa and stay? Absolutely not, right? We discern who is allowed in our home, right? And it's the same in our mind. Wouldn't it be wonderful if we can apply exactly the same in our mind? Wait a minute, I haven't invited you. You're not come. You're not welcome. Go away. Go away. Right? Wouldn't it be wonderful? And this is a tool that we have, but we're not using. We have not yet learned to place our will to manage our thoughts, so we can do a spiritual cleanup. And we like to we have a workshop, and when we learn about our virtues and we study the gospel on Wednesday, and we say we like to create a metaphor because we forget things quite easy, right? And we say let's put our divine heart to control our thoughts, because sometimes we are in that fog. We say let's do a cleanup. But who's doing the cleanup? It's that divine essence that we have. You can call authentic self, you can call essential self, you can call higher self, but it's your best self. The one that has the connection with God, the one that knows we are here to learn and grow. We know that those negative thoughts is something I need to learn and let it go. The one that stands no matter what. So we use like a metaphor. Let's put like a hat, our divine hat, just to center ourselves and remember, we are divine beings. We have the power, we have the will to say, no, I choose not to harbor that thought, because that is going to create negative in my life. Wouldn't it be wonderful if we have the power to stop and intrude that thought and the way it comes? Guess what? We can do that. It's a muscle that we need to learn, and we get better and better. Not easy though. Not easy. Right? So we need to learn to do the spiritual cleanup. But many times we think, where we should go? Where can we start? And here we divide a little bit. It's just sharing some ideas. So in a way for us to really take responsibility, because there is no way we can do a spiritual cleanup if we are not willing to take responsibility exactly where we stand. So we talk a little bit about the thoughts, how the thoughts can have a powerful effect in our life. And there are some negative thoughts that we've been harboring for a long time. And there are some thoughts that we don't even recognize they were thoughts. We become like a really true thing, because we have been feeding that thought for years, maybe incarnations, and it's so crystallized. Now they become a solid belief. And guess what? That evokes a lot of feelings. That evokes a lot of emotions. And that evokes a lot of our actions. So imagine if we have many thoughts that we've been taught, we heard, and we started believing that. I give an example like, no, don't worry, I'll do that. You're not capable to do that, I'll do it. You hear that as a child. And all of a sudden you embrace that thought, I'm not capable. And then everything you do, you think, I'm not capable, and you start feeding and you start projecting in a way that you're going to start looking for a proof, because now this is a belief. And that's what we do with our beliefs, especially the one we have not yet checked. We find a belief, and then we do actions to prove that belief is true about us. And that's what we call a extreme, unhealthy way of performing life. No matter what you do, you're going to do an action that's going to prove to yourself you're not capable of. And that thought becomes even more strong, a belief that is even more crystallized, and that's where we have been sometimes stuck in many incarnations. So we needed to stop and take responsibility and start to clean up. There are some thoughts about us that become a belief that we need to check. Is that true? It is essential for us to be resilient and clean up and be spiritual healthier. We need to learn to double check. If I'm doing actions and harboring feelings and thoughts that are creating difficulties in my life, that's called insanity, to keep repeating the same actions that's going to promote the same results, right? Yes. Our divine self learning to say, okay, let's take responsibility here, because I do know, I trust God in His perfect, just laws. We are 100% protected all the time. Our actions, however, take us in a funny path that bring as a result consequence that we do not like. So many people go through life saying, I don't understand God, is so unjust, I don't deserve this, and blah, 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 right? How many times we did that? We forgot all the laws. The laws are, God is perfect. The laws of God is divine protection. So when we learn that and trust in His abundant protection, and when we align our actions, thoughts, and feelings with the divine laws, our life starts being cool. Oh, I can handle that. Because we understand whatever confusion I'm experiencing, I need to take responsibility for. I understand that it was action that was taken that is misaligned with the laws. And just that we read as, this is a learning experience for me to be back on track. And that takes a full load of guilt and blame, whatever, that is blocking us from taking responsibility. So whatever is happening in your life that you don't feel spiritual health, emotional health, look in that and think, how can I take responsibility from what I've been harboring on my thoughts, the feelings I've been harboring on my heart, and the actions they are evoking me to take. When you truly honest that, because many times we don't want to feel hurts, and then it's easier to blame, it's easy to deny, it's easy to numb. How many things we do to distract ourselves from not feel exactly what we are feeling? And the good news, when we feel what is in there, we can let it go. Because sometimes the distractions are so much more painful when instead of taking responsibility, this is how I'm feeling, let me see what I can do to create a different choices. So my actions can create it today the harmony I want to experience. And that's the secret. Being aware of what you're feeling gives you more chance to choose an action that's going to create as a result more balance, feeling more centered, and create a result that is more aligned with what we want to experience in life. For that, we have to have the courage to look. How is my relationship? There are some relationships that's really toxic. There are some beliefs that are very limited in our life. So if we want to truly create a spiritual health, it is imperative that we take a responsibility for the spirit cleanup in all areas in our life. So many times we keep feeding our relationship in a way that is very toxic. If I have the belief it's all about me, guess what? My relationship is going to become very toxic. Because a relationship is sharing two spiritual beings. It's the law of balance. If I'm carrying the approach that I'm going to just make me happy because I'm not happy, that's going to get funny, right? Because we know nobody can make anybody happy. We needed to create our own happiness, and in a partnership we contributed. And the same thing at work, business partner, in any levels, any friendship, any relationship. And the funny thing is, when you start doing your spiritual cleanup, magic happens in your relationship, because you start honoring your divine being. And when you honor your divine being, you feel more inclined to honor the other divine being in front of you. When you start respecting yourself and clean up those thoughts that you're not worthy, and you start really to honoring that you're worthy. Your worth is not at the table, because your worth is child of God, and this is not negotiable. You are. There is no actions that can change that. You are a divine being. So when you really own it, that you're a child of God, and that you deserve the abundant love of your Father, you bring that to your relationship. And that, when you transform a toxic relationship to a healthier relationship, you invite, including others, to grow with you. It's not about, okay, I don't want you because you're not toxic. You're toxic for me. No, it's you with yourself creating a relationship that is healthy with you, respecting you, honoring you, take responsibility with your word, with your time, with your actions. And you feel a sense of worthiness, gratitude for the learning, and you bring that to your relationship. And that's the way you can transform any toxic relationship, at least in your end, to a healthy one. It is amazing when we have the approach to live healthier, to bring to the table a more kind work, a more compassionate look to the faults of others, when you are willing to forgive the imperfection of others because you're working so hard to erase the imperfections in you. It is amazing how this is uplifting for other people, and everybody is invited to raise the game. If they don't raise the game, it's about them. You are raising your game, and that's what counts. So look at all that take us to change our I never remember, it's paradigm or paradigm? Paradigm. I confuse that in Portuguese. It's a let it go old paradigm and embrace the new paradigm, and Jesus is our new paradigm. Many times we have our paradigms in our life about our mothers, our father, and become a very straight rules in life, but we need to double check that to see if that paradigm serves us. So in the invitation in this talk is to bring this new paradigm to our life. How can we live in a refreshing way so we can feel the abundant love of God? So, and that's the way. There is no other way we can create our spiritual health, emotional health, if you're not committed with our inner transformation, to apply the lessons in our life to promote our spiritual growth. That's the only way to connect ourselves, because we cannot transform what we do not acknowledge and accept. Okay, here's where I am, that's where I want to go. That is about the inner transformation every single day. What that means, every time that you are talking with someone and the result of that talk make you feel a little something in your stomach, that's a little information, isn't it? Like in the St. Augustine said in the Spirit's book, the question 919, right? Every night we should do a little inventory, just a little meditation, how my day was. Is there anything that I should have done that I did? Is there anything I should have said and I didn't? Is there anyone feeling a little something about me? Has my actions hurt me or anybody else today? When we do that little meditation every day, we have a chance, more chance to apply. Because if you notice there is a little something, That's an area that you can invest to meditate. What did I do? What was my intention? What was my motivation? What was my real goal there? To be happy or to be right? To prove something about my ego or to create a healthy relationship? What was my goal? What's my intention? When you have the courage to ask those questions, and then you pray, asking your mentor, ask Jesus, ask your whatever, help me to learn to dissolve that. So next time I can put my head in the pillow and say, I did the best I could today. I really did. And there are some days that you notice that you had intentions that was a little funny. And that's the time we needed to bring self-compassion, kindness to ourselves. That's the opportunity that we have to learn to talk with ourselves the same way we talk with a little child. We are going to learn this. We get that. Tomorrow will be better. And we renew our strength to apply the lesson even better next day. And that's the only way we're going to transform our life. Because there is no easy ride in the spiritual health. There is a job that you need to do that nobody can do. Nobody. No matter how close to Marcel I get, I cannot grasp any merit from his actions. I need to create on my own. And we came into this world alone, and we are going to live alone. So it's imperative that we learn to embrace ourselves and put ourselves uphill. So Jesus said, pray and be vigilant. Pray is to ask. We need to learn how to pray. Sometimes we pray in a hurry, right? Or let me do this, memorize the words. But to really pray is to learn really to quiet ourselves so we can talk with God. There is no script. It's like you talking to your Father from your heart. And that's the time not just to praise, but we can ask guidance and say, Father, I'm here and I have this. Help me. Help me to see what I need to see to learn the lesson. What can I do? And then we need to meditate a little bit and wait, because we need to listen and answer. So God talks with us through our intuition that comes between the thoughts. If we do not stop the thoughts, how can we listen to God? So you see how it's imperative that we learn to control our thoughts. So we can learn also to slow down our thoughts. So we can do a prayer and be meditating, creating the silence for us to listen. God answers. Because our Father is here with us anytime. But we need to learn to expand our connections with God. And also, this is the moment when we pray being vigilant. It is a wonderful opportunity for us to do the spiritual cleanup in our house. When we're doing our prayers and we ask God, help me to clean up my mental house. Because it's through this connection with God that we feel more empowered to close those unwanted doors open. So our house maintain clean, our spirit maintain in harmony. And that is the smell that we create for us. And a little fragrance that we are recognized as spirit. Or the bad smell when we do not clean up. So you know what it feels like when you stay several days without a shower? Who lost a hurricane situation here, huh? And oh God, a cold shower can skip one or two, and then you barely can abstain yourself, right? And that is the spiritual fragrance when you harbor a little trash, spiritual trash. That's what it feels like. The same way when we're nice and clean, we come to church, we smell really good. That's the fragrance of our spirit when our thoughts are uplifted. So we need to remember that. And love one another, reconcile. So last week, Andrea did a wonderful talk about this, right? Forgiveness. How can we need to make peace with our enemies? Understanding that every time we get hurt, somehow in a conflict, we fail to see the moment of confusion that is happening. We allowed ourselves to get hurt, right? Because when we are feeling cool, when we are sitting in a moment of peace, Marcelo does something funny to me, I said, he's in a little funny moment. I don't take personal, right? But sometimes if I'm frustrated and I'm feeling nothing's gonna happen for me, I'm like, I don't count, and then he passed by, don't even look at my face, guess what? I'm gonna feel insulted. You see now, he don't even look at me now. So I need to learn to take responsibility for those feelings. And that's the way we reconcile with people around us. And Joana de Angelis says a wonderful thing in a book called Triumph. And she says, Jesus said, reconcile with your enemies. But there are so many deaths on that titi. The first thing we need to learn is to reconcile with our own enemies. We have many enemies inside of us. We have many energy that act as a true enemy inside of us, that we harbor with our negative thoughts. That's why we felt insulted so easy. Do you recognize when you're stressed and you're tired, how easily you can get insulted? Huh? If you pass by a person that is annoyed, you get even more annoyed. You know, we have true enemies inside of us. It is imperative that we learn to reconcile with those enemies. Do you know sometimes that little voice that keeps saying, you're not good enough, you know, don't even bother try. Why you want to get out in bed? Why are you going to try? You know, who knows? It's very distant, that voice sometimes, right? And some people live with an incredible dictator in their head. So those are enemies that we need to reconcile, because just when we make it peace and reconcile with those parts of us, we can go through life with a possibility to forgive someone's imperfection, because every single person that is actively working on their inner transformation knows how hard it is. Know how hard it is when do you want to do goodness, but you still do the wrongdoings that you don't want to do. Everybody that is committed to apply those lessons in life knows how hard it is not allowing the ego to speak up and say, how dare you talk with me like that? Everybody that is working really hard and love one another knows how hard it is to recognize that just like me, he does a lot of imperfection things, right? And just when we make the peace with those enemies within, we have more chance to have more empathy, more compassion around each other. And love one another means also to choose the narrow door, making the choices that's going to create a healthier results for us, you know? We say many times that there's so many diets out there, right? To name, and I've done all of them. But the diet that requires here is for us to slim down our spirit, to make a diet of our selfishness, our pride, our attitudes that put us in trouble. The narrow door requires us to be on diet, on a spiritual diet. What that means, re-educate your way of actions to do your actions. It's like in a physical world, you know, diet does not work, right? Until you take the responsibility to see the quality of food you are eating, right? It's the same way, the spiritual diet is the same. I can promise myself not to do the actions, but if I don't look in my pride and my selfishness, all the negative thoughts I'm harboring, they are feeding, I'm not going to lose those excessive spiritual fat. So the invitation is for us to do a true inventory. And that only then we learn to put gratitude in our life. Because every single day, that one drop of imperfection that we can control, one drop of these actions that is creating trouble in our life are eliminated, we start feeling more grateful. And through gratitude, we can transform many of our thinkings and our actions in our life. And that's the true puzzle for us. There is no magic. We needed to collect those pieces and put them together. And the good news, we are here learning. And we have Jesus to guide us. And the invitation is, we need to learn to love one another. That's the main goal we are here as immortal beings. That's the main purpose we are here in this incarnation. And we need to choose the path that Jesus showed us, because the regeneration is coming. For those who are coming new, our planet that now is trying the expiation is transforming in vibration for regeneration. And what that means, the goodness is going to prevail in all actions. So the vibration is for goodness. We need to learn to vibrate in goodness. Unfortunately, most of our vibration is still too attached to matter, to pride, to selfishness. We need to do that shift in our life so we can vibrate in a more loving way. And the invitation is hurry up, because we don't know how much time each of us has, do we? So the invitation is really to start working as we speak. A lot of our suffering comes from us to be vigilant. A lot of our suffering comes because we lost the connection. As soon as you connect it back, you reverse the suffering to a learning experience. Because we know that God is just protection, and the divine justice is perfect. If I'm experiencing any pain, there is a lesson for us to learn. And the quicker we learn, the easier it's going to be embraced. There are some experiences that are very painful. That's required that we bring our virtues to help us to dissolve the suffering so we can grasp the lesson. And that's what it's all about. Many times we go through life feeling like a victim, feeling that we are not good enough. This talk is an invitation for us to remember God is within. He's here, and Jesus is with us, giving us all the intuition, all the help. We have the good spirits, our mentors. They are next to us, ready to help us with intuition, with guidance. We just need to open the door for this abundant flow of love. And that's what is about being spiritual health. It's a balance, because every time we have a pain and a discomfort, it's our spirit that is sick first. Then comes to our emotion, then gets to our body. So we needed to learn to be healthy in the spiritual level first, so we can avoid a lot of unnecessary suffering, not just physical, emotional too. And I hope all that help us to bring a more vibrant energy in our life. And that's the talk for today.